And a runoff election for mayor likely to happen in Colorado Springs and in Denver, by the way, with no candidate in either city reaching 50% of the vote yet. And this has brought up discussion of what's called a ranked choice voting system, which some say would avoid runoffs altogether.
News 5's Maggie Bryan is joining us in studio to explain the pros and the cons of the system and which cities are already using it here in our state. Maggie.
Yeah, Rob and Diane, the city clerk's office told me that a runoff election here in Colorado Springs will cost $500,000. Supporters of ranked choice voting say it could save the city money, but opponents argue the system is just too confusing. Colorado Springs is in for another 6 weeks of political ads and campaigns with a mayoral runoff in May. Some are now questioning, could this be avoided in the future?
It's absolutely avoidable.
Including one group advocating for a ranked choice voting system at the state's capital. The system is exactly how it sounds. Voters rank their top choices. If no candidate gets more than 50% of the vote, the person with the fewest votes is eliminated, and voters who chose that candidate have their second choice counted. This goes on until one candidate finally reaches a majority.
What ranked choice voting does is it frees the voters to vote their values.
Linda Templin with Ranked Choice Voting Colorado says not only does this system make for a quick election, it encourages voters to vote for issues, not a person.
It's not about the personalities. It's not about who's electable. It's not about who has the biggest donations. It's about whose policies do you like.
Former El Paso County Clerk and now Treasurer Chuck Browerman says, however, voters do not need more choices.
It's very confusing to decide between 1, 2, or 3, let alone trying to decide between 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12.
He says implementing the system can be costly.
You have to purchase the software to do so, and then you have to do the education of the citizens.
Right now in Colorado, Basalt, Carbondale, and Telluride all use ranked choice voting systems. Broomfield and Boulder will implement it this November, with Fort Collins on board to start in 2025. Voters in Aspen agreed on a ranked choice voting system back in 2007, but later returned back to its original runoff system.
After 2 years, people said, you know what, this is too confusing. Let's go back to what we used to do.
Browerman says with election integrity already an issue, changing to an unfamiliar system would not help.
In sports, we look at the scoreboard and you see that the winning team won by 1 more point than the other. And likewise, I think in our politics, we like to keep it basic and simple.
And Templin says the software to run a ranked choice voting election costs $70,000. And she says Colorado law lets cities split the cost for that license each election cycle.